What it is, Brad Lee, back again with another episode of Dropping Bombs today in the studio, folks. I got a real treat for you. Courtney Jared Bannon, Esquire, in the house.
Hello. I'm so happy to be here.
Well, thank you for coming, by the way. And make sure you get that mic as close as possible so we can get every word you say. Folks, if you guys don't know who Courtney is, you need to look her up. Courtney Jared Bannon. She's an attorney. She's an entrepreneur. She's an author. She's a badass. She's just got a book released and selling out left and right. It's called Ready, Set, Launch, which is the essential playbook for entrepreneurs. Courtney, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Now, you do more. You're a lawyer.
Yes, I
You're
am.
a business attorney.
Yes.
And the reason I bring that up is because I don't think enough entrepreneurs understand the value. Sometimes you just got to hold it like this. I don't think people understand the value of a good attorney when building businesses.
They don't. And that's because most attorneys are not good at being good attorneys, to put it lightly. People don't understand that they don't know what they don't know. And when you go to a big firm, a lot of people just kind of fall through the cracks and you become a billing event. When you're working with an entrepreneur who deals with entrepreneurs, we understand the expediency that's necessary. We just get it. We're entrepreneurs also. And I think that is my real niche market because I get it and I understand it and I love it. I love what I do.
And if I'm in business doing well or just getting started, how important is having good legal counsel?
That's when it is the most important. After a while, there are ways that you can kind of figure stuff out on your own. But if you don't build a solid foundation and you build yourself a house of cards, everything's going to come tumbling down. It just takes one lawsuit to annihilate an entire company. And you'd be surprised people file lawsuits for many reasons, but
even
mostly
frivolous lawsuits.
100%. Most lawsuits actually are frivolous, and that really kills me. There's very little justice in our justice system for people who get sued by somebody who's just pissed off at you. And it can annihilate your entire, revenue that you made that year. It's gone. You're spending it on legal fees. And then you have to actually settle and pay the guy more money. It's disgusting.
So you're like a high dollar attorney that because you're an entrepreneur, you make yourself available to people that normally would not have access to such high powered legal counsel.
Correct.
What makes you so passionate about that?
Naturally, I am a little bit of a disruptor in this industry because I've seen good people get hurt and close their businesses because of a frivolous lawsuit. And honestly, it just really angered me. And I want to make things available, but I do it in such a way that you still get a high dollar attorney. And I'm still making high dollars because I know how to put things in a very simple form. So you go to a firm, you need an agreement, you're going to get back like a 45-page, here forth with to for, like therefore. You don't need all that. I know what you need. I know exactly what you need, and I go right to it, and I say it in a simple way that can be understood. A lot of little disputes that people have are because they don't understand the contract terms.
Yeah, which builds up the legal fees.
Exactly. It builds up the legal fees. And by the end of the lawsuit, they're like, oh, well, I didn't read it like that. That's called an ambiguity. Ambiguities in contracts, forget it. You're done. So it's really important that people start off right and they have everything smoothed out and you have that solid foundation. And a lot of that, for example, so I work a lot with startups. So it's not just about contracts. It's also about having operating procedures, having manuals, because the first thing that someone's going to look at, let's say you get into a regulatory mess. First thing they ask is, well, what's your process for text messaging? We want to see your standard operating procedure manual. Well, I don't have one. Well, right there, you're already in trouble because you don't have that. When you have it in place.
See, but no one tells an entrepreneur you need an SOP stating not to text people.
No, they don't. A lot of people don't know that. And I handle one of the biggest things I do is social media marketing compliance. So when I see people coming to me and they're like, oh, well, we got a lawsuit because we texted somebody, I start with, okay, well, we're going to handle the lawsuit, but let's fix the problem so it doesn't happen again. So I'll go backwards in time and I'll say, okay, you need to have this, 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 and this. And I do that in my startup package. So I do all of their contracts, all of their manuals, even the employee manual. I'll do all of that for them. So they start off right. Even before you hire an employee, you should have that in place. Even if you're your own employee, you should have that in place. Because then when you start bringing people on, it's already there. So you're welcome, welcome to my house. And it's a house made out of stone, not a house made out of cards.
And see, again, me included, we all, may have just gotten lucky because, I started out with, I have no agreements. I've got no policies. I mean, now I do, but back then I didn't. And I got lucky. People are like, I don't need that. I don't need that shit. No one's suing me. Dude, you could get sued because of a $1,000 refund.
Absolutely. And the funny thing is, you probably will never need it to the degree that that you're worried about. So you're going to worry about that one big lawsuit that may never happen. It's like an insurance policy. If you have everything in place, then you're going to kind of operate differently as well, because then you'll also understand, oh, hey, I can't ask that in a job interview. And hey, I can't send a voicemail drop, or I can't text someone unless they opted in. When you know that, because you've gone ahead and set the stage first, then you operate differently and you say, hey, well, wait, let me call Courtney. Let me ask a lawyer. Let me make sure that this is okay. Let me Google it. Even if you just Google something first to see, oh, hey, I can't do that. That's a good thing. Then that starts a conversation. And when you come to a lawyer first and they help you set the stage and build that solid foundation, you do operate quite differently and you stave off all of those things because your behavior changes when you know that you're safe.
Well, what if someone says, easy for you to say, I'm bootstrapping this startup and I don't have a bunch of money to spend on fucking lawyers?
Okay, I actually have an answer for that. Do your best. And actually, I write about this in one of the chapters in my book. Like, okay, you can't afford a lawyer. I get it. It's expensive. Do your own research. Research everything. If you're in a particular industry, let's say you're in the solar industry, read about it. Who regulates my industry? Google it, look it up, do your best, come up with as much as you can on your own, draft your own agreements, and then pay somebody to look them over for you and make suggestions.
That's cheaper that way.
So much cheaper. And, that's one of the things I teach.
Yeah, so again, I got a lot of entrepreneurs in the bomb squad listening. Can they come to you just to like, hey, I just need an agreement reviewed to make sure I'm not getting screwed?
Absolutely.
And then you just review it, so it isn't even high dollar.
No, it's not high dollar. And a lot of times, honestly, I do a lot of free consultations for 15 minutes, and I time it, by the way. A lot of the times I'll tell them, hey, you don't really need all of this. Why don't we just start with you doing this? And if you want to do it on your own, buy my book and read chapter 13 or read chapter 16, and that will kind of guide them too.
By the way, this book, folks, the subtitle, The Essential Playbook for Entrepreneurs. Why is it an essential playbook? What's it talk about? And what am I going to get if I buy it and read that book?
It literally talks about everything. Whether you are a business coach, a social media influencer, if you have a Shopify store and you're selling stuff, everything that you need to know is in here, and it's very clear. I just bump. It is no BS, pure content, right down to I have a chart in here of all the states that charge tax for digital or tangible goods, which states charge for both, which if you buy digital and you don't have tangible, there's no tax. Like, I have everything laid out in here, from your mindset, getting your mindset right, all the way to the exit. And then at the in the back of the book, I have your startup checklist.
Is this legal advice?
No, it's not. And I have that throughout every chapter. I have a little disclaimer. This is legal consulting, and this is more business advice.
Now, this is like, from an attorney, be smart. You need to look at these areas.
Exactly. I'm teaching people how to teach themselves and when to call the lawyer. Sometimes you just don't need one. And sometimes you'd be really stupid not to have one. And
regardless of the price.
regardless of the price.
Yeah, because again, like I said, some douchebag. See, right now, if I could call you and say, hey, can I publicly ruin this dick for doing what he's doing? Because I'm being targeted, I believe, for the texting spammy law shit. Mm-hmm. Now, again, I understand and I support those laws. You shouldn't be able to spam people and text people and fucking harass people and all that shit. But there's people out there right now, if you're using texting in any way, you should be careful, because there's people that'll enter your programs and give you their number hoping you fucking fuck up. Yeah. Well, apparently, because we don't know. We just use a company called Twilio. Mm-hmm. Well, I would assume if Twilio says, hey, if they hit unsubscribe, it'll take them off the list. That's what their fucking shit does.
Right.
So we're using Twilio, and, I'm not even selling anything through text, Courtney. I'm reminding people that the call they paid for is about to happen.
Actually, that's legal.
I know, but that's all I'm doing. I'm not selling. I'm not offering. I'm not pestering. I'm not doing shit. I'm saying, hey, the call's coming up. Don't miss tonight's call. Well, apparently, I sent it out to whoever, was in the call.
Right.
And apparently, there's a guy who joined, got a text, and replied, stop. Okay. Well, somehow, some way, it didn't stop the texts.
Right.
Now, in my mind, that's Twilio's fault. Why are you fucking coming at me? Well, they're coming at me. And I've already spent probably 100 G's. And I didn't do shit wrong. But, again, thankfully, that doesn't put me out of business. If I'm a small business, that might.
Right.
But at the end of the day, and I am a small business, but not like that small.
Right.
But at the end of the day, we didn't do shit. I'm sending out reminders. He hit stop. The software should have just unsubscribed him. If he didn't want to be notified, fine. But I wasn't pitching him shit, and I wasn't banging on his door, and I wasn't fucking harassing him. But I'm being sued by a pro bono law firm on his behalf, which I know he's done this before.
Yeah.
Because he sent an email to my assistant that said, hey, you guys texted me after I said stop. How do you want to handle this? Or should I just give it to my attorney? Oh. And apparently somebody here didn't fucking respond quick enough. So the next thing I know, I get served. And I'm like, what is this? And I'm thinking, this is stupid. This is not going to go nowhere. You can't do anything. But dude, 100 grand into it. And I might win.
That's terrible.
And I might win. No one's going to refund me my money.
No.
So I want people to listen, because again, dude, if you're an entrepreneur, I got lucky that I didn't get screwed harder. I would recommend everybody get legal counsel. And if you can't afford full-blown in-house legal counsel, I'd say call Courtney.
Yes.
Because you're about as close to in-house as someone's going to get without writing a big fat monthly retainer.
Absolutely. And in my book, I actually go over it's called the Telephone Consumer Protection Act. It's a TCPA lawsuit. I go over everything in there on how to set yourself up correctly. And if you're using a third-party text messaging company like Twilio, they are liable to a certain degree. You have to look and see what the contract says. But any opt-outs should automatically either be connected through a Zap with Twilio and your CRM.
It is.
Yeah, so that's not your fault. That's their fault. So you bring them into the lawsuit.
Well, I called them and they refused to answer us.
I'm going to look at everything when we're done.
Yeah, and not only that, what you said earlier is that's not illegal. I just said the other day, I said, hey, call the lawyer and say, I thought this was in relation to selling shit. They know we weren't selling. We were notifying.
You're allowed to follow up via text message when anyone has a service that they either have bartered for or purchased from your company. You're allowed to follow up. You're even allowed to call them and say, hey, I saw that you bought a book off our website last week. Just wanted to make sure that everything was okay. Did you enjoy the book? But you can't sell them anything. You can't pitch anything, but you're allowed to follow up in a reasonable amount of time. So you can't text someone like a year later, but you can follow up on a purchase.
But what if you spent, for example, $400 to be on weekly coaching calls and you got a text that said, hey, call's going to start, and then you hit stop, and then the next week you got another one that said, hey, call's going to start, and now I'm being sued for it.
Well, I mean, he's getting reminder text messages about a product, so
that he bought. Lifetime access, by the way. So how does not have lifetime ability to text him?
Well, if he opted out,
he did. We saw the transcripts where he did put in stop.
Yeah, so that right there, that puts it on you guys.
I know, but I didn't. But again, how do I know that he said stop? We're not monitoring those. That's a third-party software.
Right, so it's their problem. It's really not your problem.
Well, then how come I'm out 100 G so far and counting?
You needed to actually bring them into the lawsuit with you and say, hey, it's their fault, not mine.
I did, and they don't care.
Well, let me look at everything, because there's little nuances to this. So
see, but this is why it's valuable for people to have this resource.
Yes, it is. It's important because, one of the reasons I love what I do so much is I have people coming to me in every industry, and I've practiced in every area of law. Like through my 20-year career, I've done family law, I've done immigration. It's very easy for me to jump into any industry because of it. So it's important that people understand that they don't know what's out there. It's a big, crappy world filled with people who are looking to get you. And it's so important to have somebody or to have a book. Like my book is really good for that because it's a reference book. You will keep this on your desk. I have really big companies that tell me that they're keeping it on their desk because even if you're a large enterprise and you want to go out into a different vertical, that's a whole new world. That's a whole new landscape. So it's really important to have somewhere to go as a starting point. And then you call the lawyer when you're, you know what, I don't think I understand this all the way. I need someone to explain it to me. And I'm not the only lawyer out there that works solely with entrepreneurs. Google it. Look for a lawyer in your area that says, I work with entrepreneurs.
Call Courtney.
Or call me first.
And by the way, how do they reach you if they do?
They can go to my website, which is CourtneyJaredBannon.com, or they can find me on Instagram, Courtney Jared Bannon Esquire, all spelled out.
And it's spelled just like it sounds. Courtney, Courtney, Jared, Jared, Bannon, Bannan. Hey, yes. By the way, what's the Jared?
So my brother's name is Jason, my sister's name is Robin, and my father's name was Ed. So if I were a boy, that was going to be my name. But when I was born, my mom wanted me to always have my family with me. We're a really close-knit family. So that's why I'm always like, really, it's important to me to always have that in my name. But Courtney Jared is actually my first name.
But Jared is a combination of all those?
My family name. Yeah. My brother, sister, and my dad.
Nice.
Yeah.
And
they're my favorite people.
And before you were a lawyer, mm-hmm. what were you doing?
I was a writer. I was actually a health and science writer. I worked for actually Reuters, and I wrote like health and wellness stuff, which is actually really important to me. And that's actually part of my platform. And in the first few chapters of my book, I talk about the importance of health and wellness, mindset, being intentional with what you're doing. And that's another reason that I have a really strong dislike for most lawyers is because they don't practice law with mindfulness or intention. So if I have somebody who's coming to me and they're on a limited budget, I'm going to tell them, okay, you're going to do all the legwork for me. I want you to do this, this, and this, and then I'm going to review it for you because that's how you can afford me. And then I do that. And I have other lawyers. Your
phone's going to blow up. Bomb Squad's going to freaking eat this shit up.
That's okay. Call me.
And again, how do you get a hold of you again?
They can go to my website, CourtneyJaredBannon.com, and there's actually a link where you can set up for a free consultation with me, and then all of my contact information is there. I have a New York phone number, a Miami phone number, and a Fort Lauderdale phone number. I practice in Arizona, Texas, New York, Florida, soon to be California. I'm going to go for Nevada because I really love the hike that I need you here. Yeah, I'm definitely doing that. I actually started the application. I just have to finish it.
Not only that, where's the best place to incorporate?
Well, Nevada is a good one. Delaware is a good one. And Utah is a good one.
Which one's the best?
Delaware.
Nevada. You go, well, I don't want to argue with an attorney, but you go talk to Elon Musk, who did it in Delaware. Cost him a shit ton.
Nevada.
If he'd have had the same structure out of Nevada as he did Delaware, he would be a shit ton of money. It cost him, I forget the story, but it cost him a ton of money. And the whole thing they boiled down to was Delaware is good, but it's not as good as Nevada. And here's the example. And they used Elon Musk's example where if he would have just incorporated and did it through Nevada, if it was Nevada law.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yes. It depends on also what your industry is, where you're going. Are you going to do like a C Corp and then have lots of subsidiaries? But Nevada is a great state. I just love it here. I love it.
Can you advise people just like on corporate structure and anything? Because are you a corporate attorney?
Yes. So my undergraduate degree is actually in business and finance. And I'm a huge promoter of people educating themselves on keeping their business super clean with, the two things that you don't want to be chintzy on is who is doing your books and who is doing your legal stuff. Those are the two areas that are really important. So I started out with business, and I've always been a serial entrepreneur since I'm a little kid. And I love business. So when I started writing, I felt like I was getting really bored with it because I was writing the same shit over and over again. Like I really wanted to do something important. And then I had an employer who was really pissing me off and doing things I thought like, that doesn't seem like they're allowed to do that. So I started looking up legal stuff. And that I was like, then everybody started coming to me at work like, hey, are they allowed to do this? And I'm like, nope. And I'd start researching. And I thought, you know what? I'm a renegade. Like I want to really be able to, can I curse?
Yeah.
I really want to fuck people over who fuck people over. Like this is like important to me. That's really why I became a lawyer. I wasn't your typical story of, oh, I want to be a lawyer. No, I want to fuck people over who fuck people over. That is my passion. And that's how I started out. And then when I decided to go to law school, I didn't go the first time because I got a great job as a magazine editor for a travel publication who was sending me all over the world. I was making, are you ready for this? $14,000 a year. I went to bed starving every night. I would split one pack of ramen noodles for 3 meals. I was avoiding my car getting repossessed. I didn't care. I loved what I was doing. And until it got to the point where I had no choice. And then the second time I decided to go to law school, I already had a son at home. He was the most boring baby. All he did was smile, sleep, and eat. He's still the same way. He's the most pleasant human being ever born. And so I started doing all of my stuff for law school. And then I finally got accepted. I was so excited. I found out I was pregnant. And I'm like, oh, damn, like, can I catch a break here? But I went straight through pregnant and gave birth in the middle of my second semester of my first year. And it was just great. I brought my kids everywhere I went. If I went to the library, they came to the library and they just stayed with me because it was that important to me to do something that I really was passionate about. And I really instilled that passion in both my kids. They're both amazing. They're in their 20s now. They're my 2 best friends. And I brought them every place I went. So, you can have it all as a woman. You just have to schedule it correctly and give yourself grace when stuff fucks up. But I would not change a thing. I wouldn't change a thing.
And I watch you on social media and you're like always going places, traveling, freaking hiking, horses, yes. Journeys. Why the journeys and the horses and all that?
My kids are older, so they're not under my control anymore. So I just have a lot of free time. And so if I came here a day early so I could go hiking and do fun stuff, but I try to have one adventure every single day, even if it's just and I actually wrote about this in my book. Somebody asked me about this on a podcast. To me, an adventure is when I'm walking my dog in the morning and I see a bird fly in front of the sun and it makes like a cool silhouette. Like that's an adventure to me. That makes my day. It's a very small thing, but I'm very spiritual and have a very deep relationship with nature. And that's what sets me on fire. So being an entrepreneur for me is about the freedom to do those things. And I just try to have fun every single day wherever I can. And I was not able to do that when I was working full time. I was somebody's, pet, slave. I don't know what you want to call it, but I didn't have that opportunity. So now I'm making up for lost time, for sure.
Man, I want to read this book.
Yeah, it's really good.
I see charts, graphs.
Yeah, and it's
lists.
It's interactive. So and it's really fun. And I know people like to talk about themselves, and I wanted them to be able to do that with this book. So, when you try to see, do you have the mindset that it takes to be an entrepreneur? No, I don't. Okay, well, let's fix that. So the first chapter is, what is your mindset? Second chapter is, let's do a mindset reset and get you geared up. Because if you aren't doing something that you absolutely love, then you are not going to be willing to stay home on a Friday night. You're going to have FOMO. If you're having FOMO, then you're not doing the right thing. If your job is a drag and you don't like it, you're not doing the right thing. You really have to do what's setting you on fire so much that you don't mind staying home on Friday night, saying no to go boating on Sunday. Like, you need to get your ass in a chair where you don't want to get up until you have done everything to make your dream come true. And I want to give that to people. I want to work with people that I can help them set that up so no one can take it away from them.
Dude, that's crazy. Just KPIs. I've opened it to just a section, KPIs. There's so many different KPIs. Most people don't even know to, measure things that you learn like after your business grows a bit. And if you'd have learned this in the beginning, you would have just like crushed it way faster.
Yep.
So like, dude, this is some good shit, Courtney.
Yeah. Go to the back where the startup checklist is, because that really, like, if everybody starts with that checklist, it's just really, I don't know where it is. It should be like the last page.
Adding verticals to your existing brand.
Exactly.
Why you need a coach. Why you need a mentor. Why you need legal counsel. KPIs. Like, dude, you got it in here.
It's
contracts,
all in here.
Yours and theirs.
Exactly. Yeah. So
The sales cycle.
I teach you how to review a contract, how to review a contract that you get, and how to draft a contract you have to give, just so you have the basics. Like, I'd rather you have a lawyer do it, but if you're on the fly and you're selling your first product and you just need something, look at this book, try to do it yourself, and then have someone look at it for you.
Have you ever read my employee manual here?
No.
I'm going to send it to you.
Okay.
And I want you to, again, I'm going to pay you if you want.
Okay.
I say if you want, because you don't have to, because it's going to be beneficial to you more than it is me. I wrote it word for word. And I've had lawyers look at my employee manual and say, dude, that is the most entertaining, unbelievable employee manual I've ever seen. And it is literally checking every box that you need to check, but you wrote it in such a way. Can I share this with my law class? And I said, yeah. So I sent it to him. And dude, everybody is like enamored with my employee manual. I
love that.
I'd like to get your feedback on it.
I would love to give it. And I know you, like how you speak, so I can only imagine how entertaining it must be. And I like that.
I keep it real.
And that's important. And, a lot of the legal documents that I draft, I don't want them to sound too legalese, unless I'm dealing like with securities or crowdfunding. Yeah, then I'm going to make it sound very legalese. But for these basic things, just keep it basic and have all the things that you need covered in very short sentences. And sometimes that actually is better, because then there's no ambiguity. And when you have an ambiguity in a contract, it's always construed against the person who wrote the contract. So,
would there be any value in going to the best attorneys out there in different industries that you might be in and sending them $1,000 retainer? And when they go, well, what do you need? Nothing. I'd just like to retain your firm. $1,000. I have no intention of ever, I might, but I have no intention of ever using the firm. It's the most expensive, badass law firm in Boston, for example, that deals with corporate law. And I give them $1,000, but now I've retained them, which means nobody else can now use them.
Sort of. So it would go, let's say that you retained them because you said you're going to need them you'd have to give them some kind of reason. Like,
I want to retain you in case anything happens.
So it would be a particular lawyer. The whole law firm wouldn't be prohibited, but they would probably section off that lawyer. It's called the Chinese wall.
Wouldn't they have to?
Not necessarily.
See, because this is what I never understood. So if I said, "Hey, Courtney, I'd love to have you for my business because you're a high-powered," and not only that, you answer quickly,
yeah,
and there's no runaround.
Nope.
So if I said, "Okay, here's $1,000 retainer, now you're mine," and then someone comes along and we have a beef, which I never have beefs with people, thankfully, but let's pretend I did. And they try to call you against me, you would have to say, I can't represent you because I'm representing him, even though I just gave you a retainer and reserved your ass.
Well, so if it were me personally, then yes, you're correct. But let's just say it's one of my other attorneys.
So how can my firm prosecute and defend?
Well, it depends. So there's like a plethora of factors that go into it. It would depend on how much information have you shared with me? What do I have in my system? So if you said you were going to retain me because you want me to look at all of your contracts and all of your, just anything that needed a legal touch, and I had all of that in my system and I had given you advice, then absolutely. Anybody that works with me or in that division. But let's say that I had like a family law division, and one of those attorneys was going to represent somebody, I don't want to say you, but like a husband
me.
And wife. So they would be able to like represent the opposite party in a divorce.
You guys would
proceeding.
just call each other and argue with yourselves?
No, we would act. No. So I would not, but the retainer would not prohibit the whole firm from working with someone else.
But don't you think, so in other words, no, it doesn't work to reserve a law firm just so no one else can use them, because that was my idea. But like, let's say I'm getting a divorce from my wife and she goes to the top attorney, divorce attorney, and I already gave them $100 like 6 years ago.
Nah,
Can't, but it doesn't work. Okay. So, but
if you did like a big consultation with them, and that would be different.
Well, when you were saying that, it made me think of something else, which is how can one, like in other words, let's call it the Bannon, Cheatham and Howe firm. and I really did use you for something. How can like if you're defending me against a suit from yourself, from your own firm?
No, you can't do that.
So I'm saying, so like if someone came to you or your firm or a different division of the firm, it's still the Courtney Bannon law firm.
Yep.
And then they file, don't you say, that's our client over here, we can't sue him?
No, you can't. There's very limited circumstances where that's actually ever been allowed under the rules of ethics. And again, that goes to how much information has been shared with the attorney and the other division. But the best practices is you just don't do it.
Yeah, so
don't do it.
So they'd type in, okay, we're going to go sue Brad Lee, and they go, wait a minute, he's a client right there.
Right.
Sorry, get another law firm.
Yeah, exactly.
That was my idea. Where how you reserve the best ones is you give them $100, say they're your retainer.
You'd have to have some information sharing, like a consultation could do it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What about ambulance chasing?
Oh, I hate those people.
I know, but they exist.
They do.
And a lawyer's not allowed to do it. Which, by the way, here's another problem with that bullshit, frivolous crap suit I'm in.
Yeah, well, TCPA lawsuits are, those are ambulance chaser lawyers.
They are.
Yeah.
And not only that, I got an email that said, hey, I see you're being sued. We represent cases like this. Go ahead and let us handle it. And da-da-da-da-da. And I thought it was a scam because, number one, I ain't sued. No one's suing me. Dude, they emailed me that letter before I ever got served. So they saw that I was fucking being sued before I knew I was being sued.
Yeah, they look at the new filings.
Isn't that ambulance chasing? And by the way, I went with them. I didn't. My partner here went with them. Exaggerated fees. It was like, dude, are they all together, these fucking people? Because they did shit, bro, for $49,000. They did nothing.
Yeah, if your business is getting sued, I don't care what for. I don't care if it's TCPA or whatever, go with a business lawyer because they're not going to fuck around. When you have somebody that makes money at TCPA lawsuits, it's a volume-based business because a lot of them just pit her out. Like they will just throw spaghetti on the wall and see what sticks. That's literally what they do. They are going to, if they feel like they can't bill you as much or they're not going to win on both, this goes for both sides, the people who file and the people who defend, they just forget about you and you're just going to become another billing event because it's a volume-based business. That's a serious, serious lawsuit. Even if it's one text message, just the damages alone, the attorney's fees, it can be a lot of money. You don't want to get involved with that. Go to a business
Yeah, but
lawyer.
I'm involved, so what do I do?
We'll talk offline. I'm going to look at it, and then you're going to tell your lawyer what you think they should do. I can't give legal advice in Nevada, but I can do legal consulting.
Can you give friendly advice?
It's barred in a lot of federal courts, so I can give you my opinion as to a good federal, like how we should handle it.
Yeah, because to me, that I call it a predatory law firm.
Yeah, that's what they are.
Yeah, well, they're sending me an invoice. I called them with the advice of attorney. I called them and said, send me an up-to-date current billing as of today. They said, you owe, and I'm going to make it up because, again, I don't know exactly, so I'm making it up, but it's close. They said, for example, you owe $15,000 as of today. And then I said, in response, okay, don't do anything else. I'm switching lawyers.
Right.
A week later, I got an invoice from that law firm. Okay, well then, settle up. It's $49,000, and I'm like, wait a minute. It was $15,000 a minute ago, and then I told you to stop, and now it's 49. How is it 49?
No.
But it is, and now they keep calling me. Are you going to pay this invoice? And I said, hold on, because I wanted to talk to another attorney. Like, dude, am I getting fucking fucked here?
Yeah.
How can you tell me it's 15 grand? I tell you, don't do anything more, and now I owe you 49. And who can I report these fuckers to? Because I swear to God, I think they're predatory lawyers.
Yeah.
And I almost think they're in cahoots.
They are and they aren't, but they're
lucky I don't give out their name.
So what you do in those situations, and this is like advice for anybody, not legal advice, but personal advice. When you have a lawyer and you don't want to pay the fee because you think that it's too high and they're not giving you like an itemized list. About that. You know what? It just really likes me. It keeps going up. Sorry.
I've told them to fix that arm too. But anyway, yeah, keep going.
So what they need to do is say, I dispute, and you have to put this very plain, I dispute the fee. I dispute your legal fees. They have to actually put any funds that they have of yours, like your retainer funds, into a trust account. And they can't go after that disputed amount. Then you call, and only do this in the I don't want to throw all my fellow attorneys under the bus, but in the last resort, you go to the bar association of that state. So the Nevada Bar Association, and you make a complaint. Say, I told them
of the state you're in or they're in?
Whatever state the lawsuit's in or the attorneys are in, wherever they're barred. You have to be, you have to have a license for every state that you practice in. So you have to go to that bar association and file a complaint and say, on this date, my bill was $15,000, which I thought was too high at the time. So I asked them to stop working on my case. And then I got another bill for $49,000 with no explanation, because that is a very high fee, especially for a TCPA lawsuit. I mean, unless you're like, 2 years in and you've got all this discovery stuff.
Dude, I got served. These guys emailed me before I even got served. I didn't even know we were getting served. And I don't like lawsuits, so guess what I do? I throw it to somebody else and say, fucking deal with that.
Right.
I don't let it get me. I don't let it worry me. Like, I know I didn't do anything. I'm not fucking around.
Yeah. And
that's so I handed it off, and I just keep getting updates. And the latest update was, hey, what do you think about this? I said, we'll get my girl. And my girl said, no, you want us to deal with this? I said, yeah. She said, get a complete current billing. We did. We got it. Didn't say another word other than, now let them know you're switching. We said, we're switching. Week later, we get a bill that's 3 times what they just gave us. Now I said, dude, who do I do? What do I do? I'm going to freaking call the damn, who do I call? What do I do? Do I tell them, hey, if you try and collect this, I'm going to turn you into a bar? Like, is that a threat? Like, I don't know what to do. But again, the person that was giving me the advice, isn't necessarily I don't have her on retainer going, hey, what do you do? What do you do? What do you do? But now she's handling the deal. So is there conflict there?
No. One thing I always tell people too is never threaten anything. Just do it. Just do it. It's so much better because if you threaten it.
I feel like calling the bar. Why? Because I think they're predatory, dude.
They are. I mean,
they knew I was getting sued before I knew I was getting sued, and then I'm like, okay, yeah, you do this for a living, yeah, handle it. I'm thinking they're gonna say, guys, this wasn't a sales thing. These guys aren't spamming people. This guy bought this, and this is why he did it, and this is what it said. And there's no, this shouldn't even be involved.
They probably didn't even read or look at anything that you suggested because that would have been the first defense that I would have gone for. And I would have tried to...
Which means they're in cahoots.
At least do a motion to dismiss, which never gets granted. It really, very few circumstances does it get granted, but it can narrow the issues. And it also puts them kind of on notice that it's frivolous. So if it's really frivolous, in Florida, we have a letter that we're allowed to send under a statute saying you have 20 days to dismiss this frivolous lawsuit or I'm coming after you for attorney's fees. And then you do the motion to dismiss. And if it gets granted, you get all the prevailing party fees. Again, those rarely happen, but they do. And when they do, it's a glorious thing. And if you should at least
That's
try.
fucking the people that are trying to fuck you.
Exactly.
Yeah, because this is a scam.
It is a scam.
And everybody listening that has a business that does any kind of marketing using text messaging, if I were you, I'd pay attention because guess what? It's a scam.
It's a scam.
This is a racket. Like when you go into a grocery store and, drop a pudding on the floor and pretend you fell down, a lot of those grocery stores will pay you to just not be sued because...
Right.
Shit, I'm going to spend $50,000 defending this, even though we have on camera that these fucking scamming me. But here's $1,500 to go away. And guess what? They'll settle. I don't want to settle. I'm fighting this thing. Why? Because, dude, I didn't do anything. But now, after $100,000, I should have just said, what do you want, dickhead?
Well, so that's another thing. So this is the hard pill to swallow in business. Sometimes these decisions are business decisions, and you have to look at it like from a holistic approach. Like, okay, I'm going to fight this because I know that I didn't do it. And honestly, with the TCPA lawsuits, always fight first because the minute you don't, everybody's going to start getting text messages and suing you. Absolutely. I would have told you to fight it too.
I know, but $100,000, if the guy said, dude, just give me 5 G's, I'll walk out of here. I'd be $95,000 richer.
Well, that's the thing. So you fight, you throw the first punch, then you kind of retreat and say, what do you want? Early on, before the attorney's fees build up and all
I tried that. You know what they said? Should I even be talking about this?
Probably
not. Hey, this is all alleged. This is all fucking hypothetical. I'm protecting the innocent and exaggerating and
we haven't said any names.
Elaborating.
It's a case study for other entrepreneurs.
Well, we're going to talk about it right after we get off this thing.
I think it's important that people hear this.
Well, Courtney, listen, what can the Bomb Squad do to help you out? Go buy your book.
Buy my book.
Hit you up if they need any contracts or if they want good, solid freaking advice, legal counsel at a fraction of the rate because you're going to teach them how to not need to hire you full time.
Yes, exactly. So the one thing that I will tell people, so I work a lot with startups. Come to me and I have a startup package where I do everything. I build that foundation for you so you don't have to.
And that's also smart because as they get bigger, they still keep you're their girl.
Absolutely. Yeah. Most of the clients that I have, I've had for a really long time.
And I know some of them, big clients.
Yes.
They're not chump change clients.
No, I have some really high level clients.
That's because you're a high level attorney. I don't want people to think just because you help the startups and the people without huge budgets that you're low budget.
No, I am definitely not low budget, but that's like my passion project. And then, I'm a serial entrepreneur. I have other things also. Like I have other companies that I don't talk about that nobody knows about. Like those are I have multiple streams of income.
You're making money.
But this is my passion. Like I love this stuff. And I don't work with people that I don't like. So if you come to me and I think you're being an asshole, I'm just going to say no. I'm just going to say no. If I don't love you, I'm not going to work with you.
Well, hopefully you love me because I'm gonna call you. I'm gonna use you.
I love you.
I expect anyone who's in business to take a small bit of encouragement to reach out to Courtney and at least establish some sort of connection to where if and when, and hopefully it never does, if and when something happens, you got someone on your side. You got them from me because I love the Bomb Squad. But more importantly, somebody wants you to sign an agreement. Somebody wants you to put it in writing. Somebody wants you to frickin', do an interview. Somebody wants you to, anything. Employee handbook, any kind of freaking disclaimer, any kind of disclaimer. Like, dude, you guys are stupid if you don't have someone trusted, quick, and good. And now you do. Courtney Jared Bannon.
Thank you.
And thanks for coming. And by the way, this thing's sold out 3 times. Yes. If it's sold out, make sure you keep getting it. This right here, I didn't know that until today that this was what it is.
Yeah.
This is like a freaking business manual.
It is. And there's a hardcover version as well. You can get it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or barnesandnoble.com.
There you go. And go follow her at Courtney Jared Bannon on Instagram. Until next time, folks, keep shit real.